In 1946, a U.S. convoy carrying Nazi relics crashed on Route 44. They said one body was never found. Last month, a couple claimed they met him. The night was thick with fog on the lonely stretch of Route 44, cutting through the Missouri backwoods like a scar. Evan and Claire Miller, a young couple returning from a weekend getaway, were the only car on the road. The headlights carved a narrow tunnel through the mist, the rest swallowed by darkness. Inside the car, the radio played soft classic rock. Claire leaned against the window, eyes half closed. "You sure this is the right way?" she murmured. Evan nodded, yawning. "GPS says 30 more miles. We'll hit the interstate soon." The radio suddenly crackled, breaking the quiet hum. A burst of static. Then, a voice. Deep, harsh, accented. "Ordnung muss sein." Evan frowned. "That's German?" Claire lifted her head. "What station is that?" He twisted the knob, but the voice stayed, whispering through every channel. The same low chant. "Ordnung, Sieg, Heil." The air inside the car felt heavier. Claire reached out and turned the radio off. The silence that followed was worse. A faint chill crawled across the back seat. Evan chuckled nervously. Probably some old transmission. Shortwave radio or something. But the GPS screen flickered. The route line disappeared, replaced by a single message. "Turn back." Claire's hand tightened around his arm. "Evan, this isn't funny." "I'm not doing it," he said. "Must be a glitch." The headlights dimmed. The engine sputtered once, twice, then died completely. The car rolled to a stop, right beside an old rusted Mile 44 sign barely visible through the fog. Evan tried the ignition again. Nothing. He got out to check under the hood, flashlight in hand. The fog outside was unnatural. Thick, almost alive. It muffled every sound, even the crunch of gravel beneath his shoes. Somewhere beyond the mist, a faint hum echoed, like marching boots. Claire lowered the window. "Do you see anyone?" Evan shone the flashlight toward the road, and froze. A figure was standing 10 feet away. Tall, rigid, wearing a long military coat, the kind worn in old war documentaries. The man's posture was perfect, his gloved hands clasped behind his back. A cap shadowed most of his face, but the mustache, small, square, unmistakable, made Evan's blood run cold. The man raised his head slowly. His eyes gleamed like polished ice. "Der Krieg ist nicht vorbei." The war is not over. Evan stumbled back. "Claire, get out of the car." But before he could finish, the fog thickened, swirling around the figure until dozens of others appeared behind him. Ghostly soldiers, faces pale and hollow, uniforms torn, eyes burning white. They stood in perfect formation, silent. Then, one by one, their boots began to stomp in unison. The sound shook the ground. Marching, marching, marching. Claire screamed from inside the car. Evan ran toward her, but the fog pulled at him like invisible hands. The air smelled of gunpowder and smoke, and faintly, burning flesh. He yanked the door open and jumped in. The radio flickered on by itself. A harsh German voice barked orders between bursts of static. The soldiers outside were closing in, their ghostly boots striking the pavement like thunder. On the radio, a male voice spoke, clear, sharp, commanding. "You are trespassing on sacred ground. The Reich does not forgive." Claire's tears streamed down her face. "Evan, drive, please." He turned the key again and again. The car coughed, and then miraculously started. The headlights blazed, piercing through the fog. But the man in the coat, the one with that infamous face, stepped right into the beam of light. He didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled. And in that smile, Evan saw madness, hatred, and centuries of death. The ghost raised his right hand in a salute. The air around him vibrated with cold fury. The soldiers behind him vanished, one by one, dissolving into black smoke. But the man remained. He pressed his hand against the hood of their car. The metal hissed, burning hot, forming a perfect imprint of his palm. Evan hit the gas. The car roared forward, slamming through the fog. The figure disappeared behind them. For a few minutes they said nothing, only the sound of the tires on the road and Claire's trembling breaths. Finally she whispered, "What? What was that?" Evan didn't answer. He just drove. When they reached the next gas station, the neon lights felt like heaven. The old clerk behind the counter looked up, surprised. "Y'all come down from Route 44? Evan nodded, still shaking. "Yeah, our car died there. Someone was on the road." The clerk's face paled. He slowly walked to a dusty shelf and pulled out a yellowed newspaper clipping taped to the wall. "People see things on that stretch," he said quietly. "Back in '46, a convoy crashed there. Military transport carrying war relics from Germany, uniforms, medals, even a preserved body. They said it was headed for a private collector in D.C. He paused. The truck burned. Everyone died. But they never found the body." Claire's knees went weak. Evan looked out the window and froze. On their car's hood, burned into the metal, was the same handprint the ghost had pressed. Still smoking, still glowing faintly red. They didn't speak the rest of the night. They drove straight to their motel, parked far from the window, and locked the door. But even then, the nightmare wasn't over. At 3:33 a.m., Claire's phone began to vibrate. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A low, static-filled voice whispered through the speaker. "Amerika hat nicht gewonnen. Wir marschieren weiter." America did not win. We still march. The call ended. Claire dropped the phone, trembling. Evan turned on the lamp, but the light flickered, then died. A cold wind swept through the room, and in the reflection of the dark TV screen they both saw him. Standing behind them, just for a second. The same face. The same stare. The same ghost. By morning they checked out without a word. Evan never drove that route again. The car hood, no matter how many times it was repainted, always showed that faint burnt handprint when the night dew settled. Locals still talk about Route 44, the highway of the Lost Army. Truckers say if you drive there after midnight, you'll hear the echo of boots on asphalt, and a man's voice whispering through the radio, promising that his war will never end. And if you ever stop your car near mile marker 44, beware. Because someone might be standing in the fog, waiting to finish what he started 80 years ago.